Don't forget to follow us on our social media pages. Like, share, and subscribe. This podcast is sponsored by the following. Remington, made with pride in the USA. Iconic American impact. Wenig custom gun stocks. Head on down for your custom fitting. Remember, winners shoot Wenig. Shot Tracker, like having a coach on your barrel. For more info, go to takeaimtech.com. Life is too short to miss. RM Shooting Clinics, helping shooters from coast to coast. Have Ricky take your game to the next level. Zach Nanini at Northwestern Mutual. Trusted advice from someone you know. We believe in putting people first. Other supporters for Trap Talk. The Nevada State Trapshooting Association. Don't miss their 75th annual state shoot this October in Las Vegas. The NSTA puts on some great shoots, and they're going big for this year's state. Go to nvtrap.com to check out their program and all other shoots as well. The Utah State Trapshooting Association would like to invite you to the 109th annual state shoot this June 21st to the 25th at the Vernal Rod and Gun Club. Vernal holds the Western Grand, among other great shoots, and throws a world-class target. RV camping and fun side events make this a state shoot that you don't want to miss. More info at utahtrap.com. Welcome to another episode of Trap Talk. Today, we are recording live from Ohio. I've got my co-host, Richard Marshall Jr. here, and myself, Zach Nanini. Welcome to the show, Rick.
Oh, thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. So we just got here yesterday for me, and when did you get in, Rick?
I pulled in Sunday night from Pennsylvania State Shoot.
And I got to shoot my first time here today. No shot curtain.
No.
Like it. But today we had some more email questions come in. We wanted to focus on talking a little bit about eye positions. I think where you look around the gun and what sight picture you see is really important in this game. So we're going to spend a little bit about time on that. And on top of that, I wanted to ask, Rick, kind of how the last shoot went. I didn't do any shooting, but Rick, you went to PA. So tell listeners how PA went.
It was a interesting shoot, sporty targets, to say the least. But had a good time. I always enjoy going to PA. That's my wife's, past home state where Jody's from and used to shoot. But I won non-resident handicap champion the first day with a 93. So a little sporty. And then won a few other trophies, and then I ended up winning. I think I was tied for runner-up in the singles, tied for basically runner-up in the doubles, and then I got third in the handicap on Sunday with a 95, and I won the all-around with the 392, and I won the overall by one over Joey Charnigo.
Yeah.
So I was, happy with that, but great shoot. I enjoy shooting over there, and we headed over here, and I'll start shooting tomorrow. So today's just been Tyler shot some practice, and just getting ready. Got signed up, and paid with a kidney to shoot here.
Yeah, you got to get it done. But
they like the options here in Ohio, so
yeah, I tell you. But just from we'll get back to PA, but just to look at the people playing, it looks like a lot of people play the options here. They come and they play more of the money. And I think that that's something that's nice to see, because a lot of places you go, people don't play the Lewis, they don't play the options. And it's like, it makes it more fun when you can shoot a score and get paid for it enough that it makes it worth your while and makes a fun trip for sure. But
yeah, no, absolutely. PA was good. Options were good. There was quite a bit of money over there, considering. And then over here, should be a good shoot. Looks like the attendance is going to be pretty good.
Now with PA, who won in-state? As far as the overall?
In-state all-around and overall were our buddy Chris Vindle.
Okay.
Which we're trying to get Chris on the show. He is here, so we might have to do a live podcast, kind of like what we're doing now, to get Chris, because Chris is kind of shy, and he's busy.
He's always really busy, and we're trying to tie him down. Unfortunately, right now during the thick of shooting season, a lot of the top shooters that we're interviewing, they're at these shoots. So without Wi-Fi and without a nice place, luckily we're using Ricky's trailer right now. So we were in the fifth wheel and we got the Heaven Hill out. But that being said, next week, we've got some people lined up to go back to traditional style, but we figure take the time while we can and answer these questions. So Rick, my first question is where we're looking around the gun. I know you said, you look through the gun in the past to me, but explain to our listeners what that means, and does it change between singles and doubles and handicap?
Well, I don't really look through the guns. What I do is I look through the beads. Okay, so beads are stacked, figure 8, and I line up everything and I look right through those beads and let my eyes get out to the edge of the trap house. And that's where I use a soft focus right there. And as soon as the target comes out, my eyes immediately lock, and then the gun moves.
I see.
Now, some people will look, set the gun on the corner just to say, and then they let their eyes get up higher, and they'll look way out in the distance. Now, I've always been in with, okay, if you do, and it is true, you look out at a distance and then look back, everything's clear. But now we're shooting a target that's going away.
Correct.
So when you have a target that's going away from you and you're looking at a distance and you go to look back, it's a blur, and then it's kind of like, it's almost like you're blinking multiple times. Oh, then it clears up.
Correct.
And that's where I think some people get their eyes too far out. So when they look back at that target and it's moving away, they get the and they flinch.
Correct.
So that's why I always like to see people just say, okay, let's look here. Target goes up. Oh, there it is. And then lock on and go.
Correct.
Or you could get your eyes out, maybe 10, 15, 20 feet in front of the house. Then you're fine.
Yeah. So I, and there's a lot of different thoughts. I mean, I've heard when I was a kid growing up, well, you want to put your eyes as far out as you can, look out for that target, and then they're going to suck back to it. I've kind of heard that. A lot of handicap shooters told me that. And then, what I realized in especially the closer games where I'm at 16 yards, the farther out I looked, the more the angles would burn me. Like I'd get that hard left and I'd get that hard right. And it almost feel like the target's coming out so fast because it's out of your vision. The way I explain it is if you were looking through like a toilet paper roll, or you were looking through a scope on a rifle. If you're zoomed in that position and a deer's running through, you're not going to be able to see it as well as if you zoom out your eyes so that you could see that angle and see if it's going this way or that way. So, for me, at 16-yard line, I'm trying to look at the circumference of the area of the target. So, you have your hard left, your hard right, that V, and all of that area where that target could leave. And on 3, you've got obviously a nice V like that. I want to cover soft focus at the trap house. All the way across the top of that trap house, as wide as I can go to the right and as wide as I can go to the left, roughly. But not
in the trap house.
You
don't need to go. Some people,
past.
and I've heard this, have called me or at a clinic. They're like, well, I kind of let my eyes expand way out, almost like we're shooting bunker. And I said, no, you want to be that trap house just a little bit within each side. So here and then add a little. Okay. That way, target comes out. Oh, there it is. You just go to that target.
Yes. And so for me, unlike you say look through the beads. I'm looking a little bit above the beads.
That's what I say. You look over the top.
I look over. So what I'm trying to do is I mount the gun and get the beads. And then I probably look anywhere from a 1/4 inch to an inch above those beads, depending on the light. So if the light's really, really low, I find myself looking more through the beads like Ricky does. If the light's really, really high, I look a little bit more above. The other thing that I think I'm changing is target speed. So if a target's really flashing or scaring me out of the house, I'll generally get my eyes a little bit higher than if the targets are slow enough that I can catch them off the lip. If I can catch them off the lip, I want my eyes to be down there to catch that rock as soon as I can. But on that flashing bird, I feel as if I can get my eyes up a little bit, it's not going to make me want to jab that gun at it. It's going to make it just kind of see the bird and then follow from behind. That's how I feel.
So, but in that today, you shot today the doubles.
Yes.
Did you shoot the handicap too in singles?
I did. Singles, handicap, and
so how'd the singles go?
Singles, I had a 99.
Okay.
Handicap wasn't so good. I had an 86, but I kind of figured out the last box I broke a 24, and
you didn't call me to RM.
I need RM shooting clinics on that one.
So doubles though, you had a 197.
Correct.
So in shooting doubles, it was kind of low light.
Yep.
Where was your look at for there?
So I always think
the closer I get to the trap house, 16 yards versus 27, the more high I could look above the gun because the relative distance changed. So if I'm up there, I can look 1 inch above the gun. And by looking above the gun, I can get that gun out of my eye so that I don't have any like stop move or flinch move. I feel like when I get my eyes too low on a target that's going up at 16 yards, whether it's a double or a single, if I'm too low, I feel like it beats me and I throw the gun over the top and then I stop the gun and shoot behind. So I generally keep my eyes about an inch above the gun in doubles, but in doubles especially, I get tighter. So instead of being really, really wide where I'm looking for all these angles, I'm really marking that spot where it's coming out.
Yes, and that's what you want to do for doubles. You want to mark the spot on the house, mark the spot on a tree, wherever it is for each target, your first burst.
I would think my eyes are tightest around the gun in doubles because I know that gun target's coming right to my eyes, and so I'm looking, and all I'm looking for is slight angle variation. Is it going a little bit left?
Yeah.
Is it going a little right? Is it going up?
So in handicap today, where were your eyes at?
Well, my eyes were above.
It was raining.
It was raining above the gun, but what I think threw me off a little bit, and this was my own personal opinion on it. These houses here in Ohio are a lot bigger, and I was holding on my same corners of the house like I normally do. And when I was coming back for the straightaway on 1 and 5, I was shorting it because there was a lot more. There was
your movement, your move. You weren't locking in on that target fast enough to go, oh, okay.
All the way over, right? Okay. All the way over, because on those bigger houses, I feel like that right takes a little bit longer to get out because it's coming through. And on that, left-hand straightaway on 5, I was basically shooting the back side of it every time consistently. The last box, I dropped my hold points down and in, imagining the box was, normal size.
Yeah.
I put my hold points where the box would be if the houses were smaller, and then everything seemed to correct itself in a good position. But above the gun, above the gun, still see the target, and my eyes lock onto it, and then I run the gun through.
So, and that's part, Zach shoots a little bit different than I do. I'm on the house for everything. I keep my eyes the same. Now, I do that in doubles. Of course, you're staring more at one focal point. You narrow everything up on doubles for your first shot.
And then once we break the first shot in doubles, like I'm breaking it, but as soon as I break it, my eyes kick over to the other target.
Absolutely.
So I'm breaking and looking. And I think where a lot of people get confused is they're breaking and then they're moving the gun towards that other target without looking at it. And if you start moving that gun to that other target, you're just with the eye, with the gun, you're carrying it over, and you're kind of like searching for it. And I've seen people go up, down, over, just kind of looking like they're looking through a straw. And it doesn't give you that quick in between shot. I think you break the first shot, get your eyes on the second shot, and then your body's going to put the gun exactly where it needs to be onto that second shot quickly.
Yes.
And most of the top double shooters, I think they're shooting them quick in between shots.
Yeah.
And they're getting their eyes on that their second shot.
And let's step back here on shooting quick. So I'm a guy that I trigger control. I shoot when I'm on the target. It's not bang, 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 bang. It's bang. Oh, there it is. Bang.
Yes.
So now, and that's part of the deal of shifting your eyes to the target, going from the first target to the second target. You shift your eyes. Oh, there it is. And then you go. Like you were saying, people, and I have a lot of students that have done this, is they shoot the first one and then the gun's moving and their eyes will go to the gun.
Correct.
Everything slows down.
Correct.
Miss a lot of second targets. So you always want to shift your eyes over. I had 20 years ago teaching a class, and a guy said, "No, you don't do that." So he actually had a video camera, the old
on the front
8mm in his hand, and he was videoing me. This is prior to the iPhones and all that, and he got down and he videoed my eyes as I was shooting.
And they go.
And he goes, after the first shot, it was boom, and my eyes automatically, as soon as the boom, my eyes shifted. And he goes, and that's what it took for him
to light off
the light bulb.
And I think that's the big problem. A lot of people shooting doubles, they're not doing that. They're shooting and they're going over. They're like, okay, I got to go get there, and they're worried about not getting to that target. And by worrying about it and moving, it's actually taking them more time than recognizing and making a clean, one good clean shot is what you get in that scenario. With another question that came in was, sight picture apparatus, which I think we're both the same on that. I mean, we're both figure 8 stacked. I mean, perfectly. But the question was, well, could you shoot off of a ramp, or could you shoot? Is it okay if I've got a fixed rib gun and I don't have an adjustable rib and it's shooting flat? In my opinion, can I jack the comb up and shoot off the tip of the gun? I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Rick? And your
shooting off the end of the gun, I'm not a fan. I don't. I just had a gentleman that you met down at Field Keep that he come down and he had a sight picture. He was this far
off the gun.
Yeah. I got him down. He's like, oh. I said, the way your gun set up right now with a figure 8 is going to shoot 90-10. Now you add that in there, you're 130, 40, whatever.
Yeah.
Depends on how you're moving to the target. Excuse me. I said, you want to be close to that gun.
Well, I think reference point is important. But what I've always seen gets a problem. Let's just say, because I shot a Perazzi TM1 for a while, I shot Brownings that were flat rib guns.
Yeah.
Now we're on to the good stuff, the Krieghoffs. But that being said, when I was mounted with the rib, if I got too much space and I got too high, I would look down into the distance between the center bead and the middle bead.
Absolutely.
So like what I always felt, it turned into a ramp, kind of like an airplane was going to take off. And then when I went to a target, I would look for that space in between those two beads, and my eyes would get caught off on it.
Absolutely.
So for me, to be able to not allow that gun to stop on a move, I need to look through. I really need a nice clean picture where my eyes are not too high above the gun, but they're not too far below. And to speak to the other side of that point, if you get too far below the gun, then I feel like my left eye takes over.
Yes.
Because if I start putting that gun barrel up in my eyeball to where I can't see, this eye over here is going to say, hey, I can't see nothing. So when I go left, I start taking over.
Yeah.
So, and that was something I just I talked with Gunnar Sesnick the other day on the phone, and he was like, man, I'm missing Gunnar, buddy.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm missing on the left. And I'm like, Gunnar, have you checked your gun? I mean, you said you lost some weight and all this, that, and the other thing. He says, yeah.
He lost some weight since?
Yeah.
Since Arizona State?
Since. So he's a skinny boy, not like us. So that being said,
what are you saying?
Hey, cheers. But that being said, you get to a point where you're behind that gun and that gun's blocking your eye.
Yeah.
This eye is going to take over. So you have to, in my opinion, at least get to a point to where the pupil of your right eye is sitting above the rib at some level.
You want everything to where both eyes are just, you can see.
Bingo.
And it's figure 8, no problem. And if it's a little bit in there, that's fine. Everybody's different. When I teach everybody, it is, okay, I'm going to work with your style. Oh, you like to be, okay, well, let's see what this does. How are you breaking the target? Are you hitting it hard? Are you chipping? Whatnot? And then we go from there. So everybody's different. That's the one thing that differs from me teaching than some is I have a wide variety.
Yes.
I take your ability and work with it.
Yes.
So, and that's the thing. And all these questions are good questions. We've been saying this all along. Send in stuff because this is our shooting time where we are going to, I can't guarantee it because I might have to hog tie Chris Mendel, but we might get him in and, I don't think this is wide enough for all three of us.
We might need another camera.
We might need another camera. So I'll be on one computer and Zach and Chris can be on another or vice versa. But, we love all these questions. And
yeah, this series that we've gone on for the last 3 episodes we're on the road, I mean, it was just kind of like, hey, let's try this. But then as soon as we did it, you guys started sending more questions based on what we were talking about. And so we're just kind of following through this rabbit hole right now. And I really like it because, Piddle, we got the killer attack dog.
My traveling dog. A lot of people that know me know little Rosie. We call her Piddle, but she's in here with Zach and I. But she's been traveling the road from Utah to home and then Pennsylvania, now Ohio, and then home for a little bit. And then we on to Wisconsin State shooting, then Iowa.
Yeah, you got to have a good road dog with you.
That's right. She's a guard dog.
So I think we've talked a little bit about over the gun versus around the gun, soft focus. I think both of us are in the agreement that soft focus is the area where we like to be. I can't say that for everyone that shoots, but I feel like soft focus is a good place to start because I can see the angle and then I can zoom to it with my eyes.
Absolutely.
The other thing I would add to that is my soft focus does require a little bit more zoom at 27 than 16 because I've got to make up the distance to get to that trap house, but not a lot. I mean, I do feel like my eyes are straining a little bit more to get them to the trap house at 27.
Well, you don't need to be as wide like you do in singles.
The angles are smaller
because you're less angle.
So looking at a smaller area because the angles shrink, but really you're just matching whatever area. The closer you get, the wider the eyes. The farther away you get, the tighter the eyes are going to be. But it's all in relative perspective.
Well, it's less gun movement. Your pattern opens up just a little bit using that full choke as we use for the 27. And my coach and mentor was Frank Hoppy. He's passed away now about 10 years. I think it's been already 11 years maybe. But Frank always said we shouldn't call this handicap. Because your angles are less, you're moving the gun less. So you automatically got in your head that, it's a handicap. And it's really not. Shoot, enjoy it, work at it though. That's the problem. I did a few little lessons here today. And a lot of times is people aren't putting in to get out. So that's the one thing you got to do is go practice, work on some stuff. Everybody got questions, send them in. We'll answer them either most likely on here, or we can even send a response back.
Yep. And we do send responses sometimes, but sometimes the questions, and I don't dislike them. They're very long, detailed questions.
Yep.
And I feel like they're worth just doing an episode because, it's a lot to go over in an email chain, but we do appreciate it.
Now I do have, let me see here. Give me a second. So I've had some questions from some people from other countries, and it's a long one. Dan Power, he asked, so he listened to our episode.
Okay.
Dan's from Australia, which you met Dan. He was at the
I have. He's a good guy.
He's got a technical question. Okay. He said he's testing a new stock. He was listening to our podcast with Eric Munson. And we're talking about the long lengths of pull. He said on the new stock, remembering that the Aussies use double guns for everything. Okay. He's noticed that for the first shot, I can stack the bees just fine. But once it fires, it's like my head rolls off the comb a little. And I'm looking down the right side of center for the second shot. It's got a pad adjuster and I adjusted the comb. I've tried swinging the pad adjuster around different ways. I've even tried moving the comb over and toward my cheek to put more cheek pressure on prior, blah, blah, blah. First shot. Then I heard you guys talking about long links, how they may affect it. What do you think? So in Dan's case, I think he might have too much of a roll on the comb.
It's off of his shoulder.
It's too much of a roll on the comb.
Correct.
So when he shoots, his face is sliding possibly. But long lengths of pull, if it's a short length of pull, you're in tight. And that's what I don't like to see is people like this. Because when you go to shoot, a lot of times this happens. They release tension.
Yeah. So if the stock gets too short, in my opinion, it could slide out from the position as you're going to a target. And the other thing, if there's too much roll or there's too much cast, I mean, we're talking aggressive here, but but you too much as you're going to that other target, you're almost coming away. So I really feel it for me when I'm going to the left-hand side in doubles. If I don't have the gun set up properly, my head starts going left and my gun doesn't follow with me. Well, so it's keeping everything under your body enough that you're turning with that unit completely.
Now Dan is not as big as me by any means.
Yeah,
but he's
probably not as big as me.
Hole is 15 and a quarter. So I'm thinking the stock might be too long for him too. On that case, so he might want to shorten
because he's putting it out in the side.
Well, it could be, or shoot maybe across, or he's getting it in. He's on the backside, so when he shoots, he's dropping. So I'm gonna text Dan back on Facebook Messenger. That's how we respond to each other. It's expensive to text Australia.
Yeah, for sure. But here's the other thing. Like, there's more than one answer to this question.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times, and that's where, I've always gone to Ricky and been like, Ricky, I'm struggling with this. What's going on? And he can look at it. And a lot of the times, like, I've shot 225,000 targets. I've got grand slams. I've won some stuff, but I'm learning still. And when I get in a slump where I'm not hitting stuff, you need somebody to look at it and watch you and say, hey, this is what I think and what I see. Because sometimes as shooters, we get in our own head. We either think something's wrong that's not wrong, or we don't think something's wrong that's completely wrong, and we're stubborn and we're not going to change it. We're going to be like, I'm going to stick with this and do it. And in that saying, I would call Rick and I say, Rick, watch me. What do you think is going on here? And he's like, Zach, you're lifting your head, or Zach, you're coming out of the gun, or Zach, you're moving on the call, or Zach, you got too much cast or offset. But it's little things that at this stage of the game, I'm probably still not able to catch quickly. And so whether it's Ricky or other great coaches in the country, having someone watch you is very valuable. Now to the other side of that, I wouldn't recommend having anyone that shoots watch you if they don't know what to look for, because then you can get in a position where, you're chasing a rabbit hole that's not necessarily correct.
That's right.
So I think at some level, they have to have some accreditation. They have to be able to say, okay, I've shot and I know what I'm doing. Now, there are some people that are pretty good coaches that aren't always great shots, but I think it's good if you're going to have somebody that's teaching to be able to also say, hey, I have the accolade. Like, there's some people that might not shoot good anymore, but they had years and years and years and years and years.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And that's, in my case, I use my wife, Jody. She, that's a great thing about the iPhones, is she'll video me and then I'll analyze the video.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to be doing a little bit of that with some lessons for people afar that I can't get to. And even I've had some students that have taken lessons that got into a little slump.
Yeah.
And
it happens.
And they'll send me a video and I'll kind of analyze it and go from there. So that's what I'm going to do with Dan is I'm going to text him and say, hey, send us a video.
Let's see.
Let's look at it. And while we're here this week, do it. We can analyze it and then I'll respond back. But most likely the stock is too long.
Yeah.
Is what I'm going to say. If it's 15 1/4, change it, pad adjusters. You want to have a pad adjuster. You want to put it with some toe out so it defers the recoil away from your face.
Correct.
So
in, kind of conclusion, both of us are pretty soft focus, looking where the target is going. Okay. I'm a little bit more above the gun depending on light situations. And that could be, he's through the beads, and we've interviewed a lot of people, and these are pretty, common traits. You're either through them or you're above them.
Yep.
Right now, there's a few people that are below them.
Yeah.
But they're holding higher guns usually. You're holding, your Rich Bullard scenario,
looking around
where they're looking around the barrel and under the barrel, and they're having reference point.
Except for doubles, I got Rich to kind of lower his whole point a little bit.
Yes,
and he started shooting good.
And if you talk to these people, a lot of them, when they were shooting their best, they were looking above the gun or through the gun and lower. Sometimes you get up high because you just can't, I guess, control the trigger enough and ride that target out. I think as long as you could ride the target out and keep it above your barrel, that's the premier way of shooting. I think it's going to give you the most consistent ability to shoot high targets, low targets, all the variation of targets.
Exactly.
If you've got a nice, perfect target at a perfect level with zero wind, well, you can get away with holding up a lot higher and doing that move. But when you got something like we shot in PA or here where, there's a little bit of variance in the wind, up, down, moving around.
Yeah.
I think you need to look and hunt the target itself. And more importantly than anything, in singles, doubles, and handicap, we're getting our eyes on the bird quickly and looking at that leading edge no matter what. And then also other similarities, not too far above the gun, with our comb to where we're looking on a ramp. Now there are some shooters that have had some success with higher, but that goes to why did they design the adjustable rib gun in the first place? so that you could adjust the point of
to
impact
keep your
and
figure
still keep
same sight
the
picture.
same sight picture.
Instead of the old way, like, my coach and mentor, Frank Hoppy, and the greats that have shot this game before us, Britt Robinson, Dean Bright, Benias, these guys that would bend barrels to get it to shoot higher. Now, we just adjust the rib, move the comb up.
And that's freaky because I seen some old school. Phil Ross did it. I seen
yeah.
Phil Ross, and he's passed away, but in California.
I watched Dean Bright at the Kansas State shoot years ago. They used to have their gun racks cemented in the ground. This goes back 20 years. This was an ASE 90 Beretta. He shot the first 50 handicap, break 42. We go to the second 50, and he goes, "This ain't shooting high enough." And I go, "What are you gonna do?" He stuck it in the ground, got it underneath that gun rack to a certain point, and just pulled up. He notched the rib, pulled up a little bit more. He looked down. He said, "It'll be good." He walked out, broke the back 50.
And I've seen that. Like I said,
he looks off the end of the barrel.
Same thing. Phil Ross did it. I mean, it just guys that are shooting those flat rib like 1100s or flat rib BTs or whatever, and they get in between a bench or get on next to something. They put the barrel in there, they tweak it, and they get it up, and it shoots the point of impact.
Or the old shot bags and on the tire, and they would hit.
They hit it. Now
we're not into that.
We don't recommend. Krieghoff makes the guns where you can get them set the right way.
That's right.
Bang on them.
That's right. That's what Team Krieghoff, pro staff.
Yeah, I'm just the regular team. They don't like me enough, but that's okay. That's okay. But that being said, if you can have it shoot where you want it to shoot, while looking through it, I think that's a calmer move on the eye, and there's not as much distraction. Not saying you can't do it the other way, but if you haven't at least tried it that way, I think everyone should start at that position.
Yeah.
So
no, it's great. We need some more questions. We can answer questions for hours if we really wanted to.
Keep the questions coming in. We got some good people lined up. I know Gary Benetti, a Hall of Famer, said he was wanting to do an episode with us. I know Dave Kelly said he wanted to do an episode with us, which everybody's been talking about that.
I'm going to get Paul Chaplow. Paul's from England. He's the world DTL champion, which is down the line trap. Paul comes to Tucson every year, or he missed the last couple of years, I think, since COVID. But Paul's the top DTL shooter. He's also on Team Krieghoff, but for Krieghoff Germany.
100%. So we've got some great people ahead of us. The biggest thing we're dealing with is some of the old time greats.
Yeah.
Like another one that said yes was Ron Alcariza. He's a back-to-back clay target champion. The biggest problem I'm having with him is he doesn't have a computer. So we got to figure out how to we got to. This is worse than Keith Diddle, right? So he's like, "What's a Wi-Fi?" And I'm like, "You don't spread it on toast, Ron. It's the internet." And he's like, "It's a Wi-Fi." And so his son David Alcariza, who's an Olympic bunker shooter, they're both pigeon shooters, live shooters, elite shooters. These are great guys, but it's coordinating that right now and making sure that everybody is getting this information out, because we're getting great feedback from everyone. We love it. I love walking down the trap line and everyone coming up and saying, "Man, we love the show." So we appreciate the love, we appreciate the support. We never thought it would get this big and have as many people support it as they do.
It was great in PA. I had a lot of people come up and said they love the episodes. They want to hear more, blah blah blah. And I had one guy who was walking in, the other guy goes, "Hey, there's my favorite podcast guy." And I was like, and Jody was with me. She goes, "I think he was talking to you." And I go, "What?" And I turned around and he goes, "Hey, Rick." And I was Rick. "Hey, what's up?" I mean, it's great, guys. You got to come up to us. I'm more easygoing than Zach to come up and talk. No, I'm just kidding. Come up, any questions, though, send them in. We'll help you out any way we can.
I'm just surprised that people haven't got sick of hearing me and you bicker at each other all week long. And I'm filler material. Well, I'm still on the squad.
I was told at PA by a gentleman, he goes, "I don't think Zach's filler material anymore." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Well," I said, "No, Zach always says he's filler material."
I think you started the filler material.
No, I didn't have you. And, Zach had a great U.S. Open, a great Missouri shoot. So, we had Tyler and I had a great vernal shoot. I had a good shoot in PA. Tyler struggled. So we're hoping Ohio is going to be good. We start shooting tomorrow. At least,
Yep.
my whole squad does. So we're looking to have a good time and just enjoy seeing everybody here in Ohio.
I think for me, in doing these shows and interviewing these people, it's kind of a selfish thing now, but I feel like I'm learning and thinking about trap more. And I feel like every week we do this and we talk about this, we're just always thinking about it, and it's refining our process a little bit more.
Is Beth okay with this?
Yeah, she loves it.
We love you, Beth.
But I think just thinking about trap or getting your mind in the right spot consistently every week, especially like we're going to keep doing this in the off season.
Yep.
For people to get their mind around what they're doing is helping them come into the season a little bit stronger. And we want everyone to shoot better and see some improvement, because it's so much more fun when everybody's pushing against everybody and we get a little bit higher. So, that being said, I think we got everything covered we need to cover tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
We want to thank our sponsors, obviously Remington. We want to thank Shot Tracker, RM Shooting Clinic, myself, and anyone, Wenig Stockworks. I mean,
makes our stocks. Winners shoot Wenig.
Winners shoot Wenig, baby. So we're rolling. So that being said, we've got a overall to shoot here in Ohio.
Yep.
We've got a little bit of Heaven Hill to drink.
Yep.
And we're out of here. So thank you guys for listening this Friday.
Have a good evening.
Thanks for tuning in to Trap Talk.